Every time my wife and I argued and she brought up divorce, she had only one demand. I could have all the assets as long as she got our daughter. She was banking on the fact that I could never bear to lose her and our little girl. That held true until my birthday, when I saw Olivia with our daughter and her first love, eating at a restaurant. Our daughter Lily was happily swinging her legs, leaning over to eat a piece of cake Julian had just taken a bite from and said with a smile, "I wish Uncle Julian was my daddy." Olivia just smiled, placing food on both of their plates, her gaze resting gently on Julian the entire time. In that moment, a sudden wave of exhaustion washed over me. I didn't disturb them, I just turned and walked away. After returning to our villa, I drew up a divorce agreement. 7 years of marriage had ended in my wife's betrayal. It was time for me to wake up. I placed the divorce agreement in an envelope, instructed our housekeeper, Mrs. Davis, to give it to Olivia, and then dragged my suitcase into a car headed for the airport. Around 9 that evening, Olivia and Lily returned. Lily clutched Olivia's clothes, hesitating to get out of the car because she knew I was home and, frankly, she didn't want to be there. "Mommy, we're going sailing tomorrow. What if Daddy insists on coming with us?" "He won't," Olivia said with certainty. She knew that in all our years of marriage, once she made her position clear, I would never dare to upset her. Hearing this, Lily finally relaxed, her earlier annoyance vanishing as she skipped happily into the house. Mrs. Davis remembered my instructions and handed the envelope to Olivia. "Ma'am, Mr. Hayes asked me to give this to you. He packed his things and flew back to the States this afternoon." Olivia's hand paused as she took the envelope. "He actually left." She didn't know why I had suddenly come to visit them in London, nor did she care. Learning that I was gone didn't bother her in the slightest. Lily was also a little surprised. She had been thinking that if Daddy didn't join them for sailing, it would still be nice to have him around in the evening. Besides, she hadn't finished making her gift for Uncle Julian and wanted my help with it. Olivia said nothing more and led her daughter upstairs. Back in her room, just as she was about to open my letter, a call came in from Julian. After answering, Olivia tossed the envelope aside without a second thought and walked out the door. The next day, when Mrs. Davis came up to clean, she saw the envelope on the floor and recognized it as the one I had given her for Olivia. Assuming Olivia had already read it, she simply placed it in a nearby cabinet. Meanwhile, I had landed back in the States and went straight upstairs to pack. After 6 years, I had a lot of things in the house, but I only took a few changes of clothes and some professional books. After we got married, Olivia gave me a monthly allowance, but my world revolved around my wife and daughter, so I spent most of it on them. However, over the past year with Lily living in London with Olivia, I had fewer opportunities to buy them things, and I now had over $3 million left in my account. That amount was nothing to Olivia, but it was a significant sum for me. Since the money was rightfully mine, I didn't hesitate to transfer it out. I dragged my suitcase and left without a backward glance. I had previously bought a condo near my old office, which had been regularly cleaned, so it would be easy to move in after a quick tidy-up. Around 10 that night, I washed up and went to bed. A shrill alarm jolted me from my sleep. My mind blanked for a moment. As my head cleared, I remembered. It was 1 a.m. here, which was just after 7 a.m. in London, where Olivia and Lily were. They usually had breakfast around this time. Ever since Lily went to London with Olivia, I had made it a habit to call her at this time. At first, she wasn't used to it and wanted to call me constantly, but as time went on, her attitude on the phone became dismissive and impatient. There was no longer any need for this alarm, but I hadn't been able to bring myself to delete it. Thinking of this, I gave a bitter smile. After a moment's hesitation, I deleted the alarm, turned off my phone, and went back to sleep. Over in London, Olivia noticed I hadn't called, but she didn't care. After breakfast, she went upstairs to change. Lily, for her part, found me increasingly long-winded and disliked talking to me more and more. Seeing that I still hadn't called so late in the morning, she figured I must be busy. Her dark eyes darted around and she grabbed her school bag and bolted for the door. Mrs. Davis saw her and hurried after her. "Miss Lily, it's still early. You don't have to leave just yet." Lily didn't listen, just ran happily towards the car. "Are you kidding?" It was a rare day that Daddy was busy and didn't call on time. If she didn't leave now, he might call any minute and she'd be stuck talking to him. No way. After sleeping in, I went to the Sinclair Corporation headquarters. I had only joined the company for Olivia's sake. Now that we were divorcing, I had no reason to stay. Sarah, one of Olivia's personal assistants, was shocked to see my resignation letter. She was one of the few people in the company who knew about my relationship with Olivia. When I first started, Sarah had worried I would cause chaos in the secretarial department. But the reality was quite the opposite. I was diligent and highly competent, and over the years I had become the department head. She had also witnessed my devotion to Olivia all this time. Honestly, Sarah never imagined I would resign. She assumed something must have happened between Olivia and me and that Olivia had ordered me to quit. Though it was a shame Sarah remained professional. I've received your resignation. I'll arrange for someone to take over your duties as soon as possible. I nodded and returned to my desk. After getting some work done, Sarah had a video call with Olivia to report on her tasks. As they were wrapping up, she remembered my resignation. But just as she was about to speak, she recalled what Olivia had said when I was hired. Anything concerning him at the company should be handled according to standard procedure. There's no need to report it to me specially. Noticing Sarah's hesitation, Olivia frowned. What is it? Sarah snapped back to attention. It's nothing. If Olivia already knew about my resignation but hadn't mentioned it, it must mean the matter was insignificant to her. Sarah figured she should just handle it by the book as usual. With that thought, she said no more. Olivia ended the call. That evening after work, I browsed online for news about an upcoming tech conference, then made a phone call. Save me a ticket for CES next month. The voice on the other end was cool. Are you sure? I saved you a ticket the last 2 times and you never showed. People would kill for those passes and you just let them go to waste. I chuckled. If I don't make it this time, I'll never ask you again. Hearing this, the person on the other end said nothing and hung up. I knew that meant she agreed. What I didn't say was that I wanted to return to my company. I was a co-founder, but I chose to step back and become a stay-at-home dad right after we started, focusing on my family. I've been out of the loop for too long and would struggle to keep up if I went back now. So I planned to get a feel for the current state of the industry first. For the next few days, I went to work and came home on time, never once initiating contact with Lily or Olivia. Of course, they didn't contact me either. Meanwhile, in London, Lily now called Julian every morning. One day, not long into their chat, she burst into tears because Julian told her he was returning to the States. After talking to Julian, she immediately called Olivia. Mommy, did you know about this? From her office. Olivia flipped through a document. I knew. Lily hugged her little pink pig-stuffed animal and cried inconsolably. You're mean, Mommy. Why didn't you tell me? I don't want to leave Uncle Julian. I don't want to go to school here anymore. I want to go back home. Olivia's tone was flat. It's already being arranged. We're going back next week. Really? Lily jumped up from her bed. Then why didn't Uncle Julian tell me just now? Olivia replied calmly. The plans were just finalized. I haven't told him yet. Lily was ecstatic. Okay, Mommy, don't tell Uncle Julian then. Well, give him a surprise when we get back. After hanging up, Lily was still overjoyed. A moment later, she suddenly thought of me. She had been in a great mood these past few days because I hadn't been calling, but after so long, she suddenly missed me a little. With that thought, she couldn't resist calling me. But just as the call was connecting, she realized that once she was back home with both Daddy and Uncle Julian around, she wouldn't be able to see Uncle Julian whenever she wanted like she could hear. Thinking about this, her mood suddenly soured. It was the middle of the night here in the States, and I was asleep when Lily's call woke me. Just as I was about to answer, she angrily hung up. Even though I had given up custody of Lily, she was still my daughter. Worried something might have happened, I quickly called her back. Lily saw the call but turned her face away, refusing to answer. Now I was even more concerned and immediately dialed the villa's landline. Mrs. Davis answered promptly. After I explained, she quickly said, Miss Lily is in her room. She's fine. I finally felt relieved, but having been woken up so suddenly, I couldn't get back to sleep for a long time. On the day of their return, Olivia placed the last document in her briefcase and went downstairs. All right, let's go. She had completely forgotten about the envelope with the divorce agreement. The stretch Lincoln quickly pulled away from the villa, heading for the airport. Meanwhile, I was wandering aimlessly across the Harvard campus when a familiar voice called out to me. Ethan Clow was smiling at me. How have you been lately? I managed a faint smile. Pretty good. Just getting ready for a divorce. Chloe hadn't expected that answer. I'm sorry, I didn't know. What are your plans now? Are you thinking of coming back to the company? I hesitated. I've been thinking about it, but Chloe didn't know what was holding me back. But she said earnestly, You have a stake in Apex Dynamics. Ethan, I want you to come back and help lead. I looked at Chloe's serious expression. The words caught in my throat. It wasn't that I didn't want to, it was that the AI field was moving so fast. I'd been out of the industry for 6 years. Even if I went back now, I was afraid I wouldn't be able to keep up. Chloe seemed to guess my concerns but didn't voice them. Instead, she said with conviction, Falling behind for a little while doesn't matter. Your ability and talent are beyond what most geniuses possess. Ethan, as long as you still have the passion for this, it's not too late to start over. Don't forget, you were Dr. Sterling's most prized student of her entire teaching career. Hearing that, I finally broke into a smile. I took a deep breath and nodded. Okay, I'll come back to the company, but I need to wait for someone to take over my current job, so it might be a little while. Chloe readily agreed. After all, I had skipped 3 grades, graduated from Harvard before I was 18, and quickly founded my own tech company, securing several patents in the early stages. As long as I was coming back, waiting a little longer was no problem at all. The two of us chatted for a while longer before parting ways. That night, past midnight, Olivia and Lily arrived back at our home in the States. She carried a sleeping Lily to her room, then returned to the master bedroom, only to find it empty. Just then, the butler, Mr. Thompson, brought her luggage upstairs. Olivia frowned and asked, Where's Ethan? The butler quickly replied, Mr. Hayes is away on a business trip. When I had packed my things and left 2 weeks ago, he happened to be out. Hearing from the other staff that I had left with a suitcase, he assumed I had gone on a trip. Olivia just grunted in acknowledgement and asked no more questions. The next day, I ran right into Olivia as she arrived at the Sinclair Corporation. I had no idea she and Lily were back, and the sudden encounter in the office made me stop in my tracks. Seeing me, Olivia showed a flicker of surprise, but she merely assumed I had just returned from my trip. Without a second thought, she walked past me coolly and entered the building. In the past, I would have been overjoyed to learn of her sudden return. Now, I just glanced at her back with indifference. Since she was back, the divorce proceedings could probably move forward soon. I didn't dwell on it. Once I was back at my desk, I immersed myself in work. Half an hour later, Sarah called and instructed me to make 2 cups of coffee and bring them to the CEO's office. When I brought the coffee to Olivia's office, I saw her sitting on Julian's lap. It looked like they were kissing. I froze, the color draining from my face. Julian scrambled to his feet. Olivia's expression was furious as she snapped. Who gave you permission to come in here? I gripped the tray tightly. I came to bring you your coffee. Olivia's other personal assistant, Carla, happened to walk by. All right, Ethan, this is getting pretty pathetic. I understood her implication. She thought I knew Julian was here and had used the coffee as an excuse to interrupt them. Judging by Olivia's expression, she thought the same thing. They gave me no chance to explain. Carla said coldly, Please leave immediately. My hand holding the tray trembled, and hot coffee sloshed out, scalding my fingers. I winced in pain, but turned to leave without a sound. I had only taken 2 steps when Olivia's voice came from the office again. If there's a next time, you don't need to come to the company anymore. She didn't know I had already resigned. Even without this incident, I would be leaving soon anyway. but I knew that no one here cared about what happened to me. After treating my burn and returning to my desk to work, I overheard some colleagues gossiping. I heard the CEO's boyfriend came to the office. The CEO has a boyfriend. Who is he? What's his background? I'm not sure about his background, but the front desk said he's also from a wealthy family. Super handsome and has an amazing presence. The two colleagues were chatting away when they saw me stand up. Remembering they had a meeting with me downstairs, they quickly shut up. My face was expressionless as I left the office and walked towards the conference room with my two colleagues. Just then, I saw Julian and four senior executives walking towards us. I heard Julian laugh and say, "Thank you all for taking the time to show me around the company." He spoke politely, but it was as if he already saw himself as the owner. The managers beside him chuckled obsequiously. When they saw us approaching, the managers immediately frowned. "Watch where you're going. What if you bump into Mr. Vance? You have no manners at all." My two colleagues, while sneaking glances at Julian, quickly stepped back against the wall. Julian saw me too, but his gaze shifted away coldly, and he was soon escorted away by the managers. The two colleagues breathed a sigh of relief, then immediately started gossiping excitedly again. That must be the CEO's boyfriend, right? He's so handsome. He's covered in designer brands. Just what you'd expect from a wealthy family. As they talked, they quietly asked me, "Ethan, what do you think?" I lowered my eyes and said flatly, "Yes, Julian is actually my father's illegitimate son." When he was 8, my father, determined not to let Julian and his mother suffer, insisted on divorcing my mother to marry Julian's mother. After my parents' divorce, my mentally unstable mother and I went to live with my grandmother and uncle. I heard that to compensate for the hardships of Julian's childhood, my father spent a fortune on his upbringing. So the illegitimate son from back then is now a legitimate heir to a fortune. I had assumed that after our childhood, Julian and I would never cross paths again. But fate, it seemed, had a particular fondness for Julian. The moment Olivia saw him, she fell for him completely. But Olivia and I would be divorcing soon, so who she loved would no longer have anything to do with me. I worked overtime until almost 9, and just as I was finishing up, my phone rang. It was my good friend Mark, drunk, asking me to pick him up from a restaurant. I quickly finished the documents on my desk, grabbed my car keys, and left the office. 20 minutes later, I arrived. After parking, as I was walking towards the entrance, a little girl emerged from the other side of the parking lot. Seeing the little girl's clear profile, I froze. How could it be Lily? Had she come back with Olivia? I thought Olivia was only back for a short business trip, but I never expected Lily to be with her. Based on seeing Olivia this morning, they must have been back for at least a day. Yet Lily never called to tell me they had returned. Thinking of this, I tightened my grip on my phone. Watching the cheerful little figure skipping ahead, I quietly followed. As I reached the corner of the lobby, Julian and several of Olivia's friends appeared at the end of the hallway. I immediately ducked out of sight, then heard my daughter cry out happily, "Uncle Julian!" as she ran and threw herself into his arms. I sat down on a nearby sofa with my back to them, using a potted plant and the chair's backrest to hide myself. I heard Lily cooing as she hugged Julian. "I haven't seen you in a week, Uncle Julian. I missed you so much. If I couldn't call you every day, I wouldn't have been able to stand being in London." It was a warm, beautiful scene, as if they were a real father and daughter. Julian happily stroked her hair. "I missed you too, Lily. Let's not just stand here. Let's go upstairs and have some cake." Their footsteps faded away, but my mind was a complete blank. It took a long time for me to come to my senses. Silently, I got into the elevator and went upstairs to help my friend down. Mark's private room and the one where Julian's group was dining were actually on the same floor. As I helped Mark into the elevator, Olivia's friend, Megan, paused. The person next to her asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing. I thought I saw someone I know." I didn't notice Megan. I took Mark back to his place and stayed the night to look after him. The next day, Mark woke up and saw me, giving me a grateful hug. "Thanks for last night, man. I'll treat you to dinner another time." Patted his head. Get up and wash your face. Breakfast is getting cold. Mark quickly cleaned up and sat at the table, scrolling through his phone while eating. A moment later, his expression changed, and he couldn't help but ask, "Is Olivia back in the country?" He handed me his phone. I glanced at it and saw it was Megan's Facebook page. She had posted several photos from their gathering last night. Although the post wished Julian a happy birthday, 4 or 5 of the 9 photos were of Olivia and Julian together, especially one where they were cutting the cake, their hands overlapping on the crystal knife. As for my daughter Lily, she wasn't in any of the pictures, probably to keep the Sinclair family elders from finding out. But just from the photos, it was obvious Olivia had arranged this specifically for Julian. Thinking of the cold shoulder I received on my birthday 2 weeks ago, I forced a smile. Whatever they're doing has nothing to do with me anymore. I've filed for divorce from Olivia. What? Mark's eyes widened. You're the one who filed. He had always known how much I loved Olivia. In the beginning, Mark didn't dislike her. After all, Olivia was truly exceptional. Graduating from college at 13, studying abroad, and then returning to found several of her own public companies. Even the Sinclair Corporation had reached new heights within a few years because of her. So Mark wasn't surprised that a genius like me would fall for a genius like Olivia. But thinking about how Olivia had misunderstood and trampled on my feelings all these years, he had completely lost all respect for her. Mark knew how much I loved Olivia, and this was the first time in all these years that I had initiated a divorce. What happened? I thought for a moment and said it wasn't one big thing, really. I guess the disappointments just piled up until I wanted out. Mark knew my personality. Once I made a decision, I rarely changed my mind. With that, he patted my shoulder comfortingly. It's for the best. A woman like that isn't worth it. After breakfast, I headed to work. Before I had fully moved out of the villa, I had the misfortune of running into Olivia again. Just like in the past, whenever she saw me, the coldness on her face became even more pronounced. Olivia merely glanced at me before looking away. I lowered my eyes just as I had the day before and quietly said, "Miss Sinclair." Only after she had walked away did I enter the company building. In the afternoon, as I was packing up to leave, Carla brought me a file and told me to handle it urgently. I glanced at the contents and knew it wasn't actually urgent. In the past, I would have accepted it with a smile and promised to finish it quickly because I wanted to maintain a good relationship with Olivia's personal assistants to get closer to her. But now that I was getting a divorce, what was the point? Besides, Carla had falsely accused me yesterday without a second thought. I wasn't magnanimous enough to pretend it never happened. I looked at Carla and said, "Coolly, I'm not doing this work right now. I'm going home." Carla's face hardened, thinking I was using my status to get special treatment. "Ethan, you need to fix your attitude. Do you think you own this place?" My demeanor didn't change. "If you're not satisfied, you can fire me right now." Carla was furious, but I just walked out of the secretarial department. Just then, Olivia approached from a distance and, seeing the situation, asked what was happening. Carla immediately tackled, "It's Ethan. He left for the day without finishing his work." Olivia said indifferently, "If you're not happy with him, just follow the procedure and fire him." Sarah and Carla were taken aback. It wasn't that they found Olivia's indifference towards me unusual, but her words implied she had no idea I had already submitted my resignation. Just as they were about to speak, Olivia's phone rang. It was Julian. Without another glance at them, Olivia walked past them towards the elevator, answering the call. Sarah and Carla exchanged a look of bewilderment. By the time Olivia got home, it was the next morning. She found Lily having breakfast. "The school registration is done. You'll report to school tomorrow morning." "I know," Lily said, wrinkling her nose. "So, can you take me to school tomorrow, Mommy?" Olivia shook her head. "I might not have time." Lily's eyes immediately lit up. "Then I'll call Uncle Julian and ask him to take me." Before Olivia could reply, her phone rang. It was a call from the Sinclair family estate. When she answered, it was her grandmother's voice on the line, telling her to bring her husband and daughter to the estate for dinner that evening. Olivia rarely refused her grandmother's requests. While telling Lily they were going to see her great-grandmother that night, she picked up her phone to call me. At that moment, I was having breakfast at my family's home. Seeing Olivia's name on the screen, I paused. I no longer felt a thrill at her calls. Instead, I hesitated for a couple of seconds before answering. "Grandma wants us to come over for dinner tonight. Come back and pick up Lily this evening." I agreed to the dinner, but I didn't want to go back to her place. Besides, even if I went to pick up Lily myself, she wouldn't necessarily be happy to see me. Why bother making an effort that wouldn't be appreciated? I said, "Just have the driver take her. I'll drive over myself after work." It was the most straightforward way, but I'd always been hands-on with everything concerning Lily. So Olivia was a bit surprised to hear me say that. She didn't dwell on it though, simply saying, "All right," before hanging up. Seeing this, Lily asked, "Is Daddy coming with us to great-grandma's?" When she got an affirmative answer, Lily instinctively frowned. It wasn't that she didn't want to see me or didn't miss me. She had only found out I was on a business trip the day after she returned. She had hoped to spend more time with Uncle Julian while I was away. But now that I was back, she couldn't ask Uncle Julian to take her to school. And as for Uncle Julian's race tomorrow night, if I found out, I would definitely forbid her from going. Thinking of this, she pleaded with Olivia about Uncle Julian's race tomorrow night. "Can we not tell Daddy?" Olivia nodded. "I know." With Olivia's assurance, Lily's mood improved slightly. After work that evening, I arrived at the Sinclair estate with a gift. Before I even stepped inside, I could hear Lily's cheerful laughter. Mrs. Sinclair, the matriarch, noticed me and broke into a wide smile. "Ethan, you're here. Come sit with Grandma," but only she was smiling. The smiles on everyone else's faces faded when they saw me. I noticed, but it didn't bother me like it used to, pretending not to see. I handed the gift to the butler who came to greet me and walked over to the matriarch. "Grandma." The old woman was delighted, pulling me down to sit beside her, but then her brow furrowed. "Why are you so thin? Has Olivia been mistreating you?" I looked down and shook my head. "No, I've just been busy lately." That was only half true. For the past 2 weeks, I had been spending most of my evenings after work engrossed in AI research, often staying up until the early hours of the morning. Before the matriarch could speak, Olivia's sister, let's call her Ashley, scoffed. "To hear you talk. Anyone would think your job is so important that the entire Sinclair Corporation can't function without you." Olivia's mother, seated nearby, added coldly, "If you find the work at Sinclair Corporation so tiring, you should just quit. After all, no one begged you to work there." The matriarch couldn't stand hearing others criticize me and was about to intervene, but I spoke first. "I've already submitted my resignation. Once the handover is complete, I'll be leaving Sinclair." At this, both Olivia's mother and sister were stunned. The matriarch frowned, about to say something when Lily suddenly shouted and threw herself into my arms. "Daddy's here." Lily seemed genuinely happy to see me. I gave her a gentle hug and murmured a soft, "Hi," but said nothing more. Olivia followed her in. After greeting her grandmother and mother, she glanced at me, then looked away, choosing to sit on a single armchair far from me. She gracefully settled into the armchair. Seeing so many people, she smiled. "Is everyone waiting for me?" Ashley playfully tapped her head. "Yes, we're all starving while waiting for you." Olivia was reserved and quiet. Ashley was hot-tempered. And their other sister, let's call her Emily, was the family's ray of sunshine, much closer to their parents. The moment Emily arrived, a smile appeared on her mother's usually cool face, and the matriarch grew even happier. Seeing it was getting late, she instructed the staff to serve dinner. Once dinner began, the atmosphere was quite pleasant with everyone chatting and eating. I quietly kept my head down and ate. More than 10 minutes had passed since Olivia arrived, and we hadn't exchanged a single word, but everyone was used to it. Suddenly, Lily looked at me. "Daddy, I want some shrimp." I put down my chopsticks and started peeling one for her. The matriarch's gaze fell on my hand, and she paused. "Ethan, where's your ring?" As soon as she said it, Everyone's eyes turned to my hand. After we married, despite our icy marriage, I had always worn the wedding ring Mrs. Sinclair had given us. Olivia, in contrast, had never worn hers once. Ashley had mocked me for it countless times over the years. My hands paused for a fraction of a second while peeling the shrimp. Then I calmly replied, "I was in a hurry this morning and left it at home." In truth, I had taken the ring off when I prepared the divorce papers and put it in the envelope with them. The matriarch smiled. "Oh, I see. The topic was then dropped." That night, we stayed over at the estate as the matriarch wished. Around 8, Olivia went to the study with her grandmother to discuss business, and I took Lily upstairs to bed. As she lay down, Lily asked tentatively, "Daddy, are you busy tomorrow morning?" Although she could compromise and let me take her to school, in her heart, she still preferred Uncle Julian. "So, it would be great if I were busy." I shook my head. "Not busy? Why?" Hearing this, Lily's lips formed a disappointed pout. "It's nothing since I was free tomorrow." She would have to tell Uncle Julian. Worried that he would be sad and disappointed, Lily's mind raced, trying to figure out the best way to break the news. I saw her eyes glued to her phone and knew she wanted to keep playing. I reminded her just a little while longer. Then it's time for sleep. "Don't stay on it for too long, okay?" Lily was already annoyed, and my nagging only made it worse. "Daddy, just go. I'll turn it off and go to sleep after 9:30. Hearing that, I said goodnight and left the room. Lily immediately closed and locked the door behind me. I had just started walking away when I heard the lock click. I knew she wasn't locking it against anyone else. She was locking it against me. I didn't bother to dwell on it and went straight back to my room. Shortly after I lay down, I heard Olivia's footsteps entering the bedroom. In the past, I would have gotten up to hang her clothes, happily picked out her pajamas, and gone to the bathroom to draw her a bath. But now I had no intention of getting out of bed. I just slowly closed my eyes. Although Olivia usually dismissed my attentiveness, she must have noticed the stark difference in my attitude tonight. She probably just thought I was sulking and paid no mind to my unusual behavior, saying, "Coolly, Lily, school registration is done. You take her to school tomorrow morning." I replied indifferently, "I know." Olivia said nothing more and turned to the walk-in closet to get her clothes for a shower. I watched her back, wanting to ask when we could finalize the divorce. But Olivia was always busy, and knowing her personality, she would contact me herself once all the paperwork was ready without any prompting from me. After all, Olivia was the one who wanted the divorce more. That's why I had been waiting quietly for her to reach out, never once rushing her. Just then, Olivia's phone rang. From the gentle tone she used to answer, I guessed it was Julian on the other end. The next moment, Olivia let go of the closet door and said, "I'm on my way now." Without a backward glance, she hurried out of the room. A short while later, I heard a car start. Olivia had left the estate. I calmly closed my eyes, turned off the light, and went to sleep. I woke up a little after 6 the next morning to find myself alone in the room. Olivia hadn't come back after leaving last night, but I no longer cared. I checked the time, my expression unchanged, and seeing that Lily wasn't up yet, I knocked on her door. After a while, she finally opened it, pouting. "Daddy, why are you knocking so loud? You're giving me a headache." I wasn't angry. Instead, I said calmly, "It's a long drive to school from here. If you don't get up now, you'll be late." Because Julian wasn't the one taking her. Lily didn't even want to go to school, but as willful as she was, she knew she couldn't be stubborn about school. She flopped onto her bed unhappily. "I know." Then she looked at me. "Daddy, can you put toothpaste on my toothbrush for me?" I agreed and went into the bathroom. Lily seized the opportunity to grab her phone and send a good morning text to Julian before heading into the bathroom herself to brush her teeth with the toothbrush I had prepared. As she was finishing, I warmed a towel with hot water, wrung it out, and handed it to her to wash her face. I opened her closet and asked, "Which outfit do you want to wear?" Lily replied, "I can change by myself, Daddy. You can go out now." After I left, Lily pulled out an outfit she had specifically brought from home yesterday and put it on. It was a super cool camouflage outfit that Uncle Julian had picked out for her. She was going to wear it today to cheer him on. The thought of seeing the cool-looking Uncle Julian again made her happy. After changing, Lily checked her phone and her brow furrowed. Uncle Julian hadn't replied yet. Was he angry? At that thought, she quickly sent Julian a message. Uncle Julian, what's wrong? Are you mad? I didn't want Daddy to take me to school. I like you more. Please don't be mad. Okay. A while passed and Julian still hadn't replied. After getting my things together, I went to her room. Lily, are you ready? It's time to go downstairs for breakfast. Not having heard back from Julian, Lily was anxious. Faced with my urging, she snapped impatiently. I know, Daddy. Can you just stop talking all the time? It's so annoying. With that, she grabbed her backpack in a huff and went downstairs. I followed without a word, but I noticed her clothes were unfamiliar. I immediately guessed what was going on, but I didn't ask, and simply followed her downstairs with a neutral expression. After breakfast, as we were about to leave, Lily realized she had forgotten something and ran upstairs to get it. I waited for her downstairs. Just then, her phone screen lit up and I saw a notification from my dearest Uncle Julian. My expression faltered. Although Lily was still young, I had always respected her privacy since she got a phone and had never snooped. But after seeing the message from Julian, I paused, then picked up the phone, and then I finally understood why Lily had been so irritable with me all morning. I quickly scrolled through their chat history and discovered that Lily messaged Julian every morning to say good morning. They chatted every day for long periods. Hearing the elevator, I acted as if I had seen nothing and put the phone back where it was. When Lily picked up her phone and saw that Julian had finally replied, she immediately broke into a happy smile. In the car, Lily sat in the back and started texting Julian. Occasionally, she would glance at me to see if I was paying attention. Seeing that I was just focused on driving, she relaxed. However, it was a long drive to school, and after about half an hour, Lily and Julian stopped chatting. By then, her mood had improved, and she was finally in the mood to talk to me. Daddy, are you free this afternoon? I didn't turn around. Why? Lily smiled brightly. No reason. Since I wasn't free in the afternoon, she could go straight to Uncle Julian's after school. After dropping Lily off at school, I headed to the Sinclair Corporation. Not long after I arrived, Sarah brought someone to my desk. This is Alex. He'll be taking over your position. Alex was handsome and dressed in designer clothes. He sized me up, noting my clean cut and good looks with a scrutinizing gaze he tried to hide. He extended his hand enthusiastically. Hi, I'm Alex. I look forward to learning from you over the next few days. I shook his hand. Likewise, I just graduated from MIT in June with my master's. Where did you graduate from? I was a bit surprised. It meant Alex probably had little to no work experience. Yet he was taking my position, but perhaps he had some exceptional qualities. With that thought, I gently interrupted him. Alex, we have a meeting soon. Let's focus on the work handover for now, Alex exclaimed. Oh, right. My bad. I almost forgot. Let's talk business. Let's talk business. By the afternoon after spending the day with Alex, I found him to be outgoing, sociable, and quite competent. Around 6 o'clock in the evening, as I was about to head home, Alex came over and insisted on treating me to dinner to thank me for my guidance. It's part of my job, Alex. You don't have to do that. Alex was about to argue when my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law. I thought I was seeing things. She despised me and usually gave me the cold shoulder. I could count on one hand the number of times she had contacted me over the years. I answered, puzzled. Mom, Emily has been secretly street racing lately and I'm worried about her. I'll send you the address in a minute. Go get her and bring her back. Without another word, she gave her order, hung up, and sent me the address. I turned to Alex. Sorry, something urgent came up. I have to go. Over an hour later, I reached the location. The racetrack was huge and there were a lot of people even at night. Emily didn't answer her phone, so I had to search for her. Finally finding her after nearly 20 minutes. Emily was shocked to see me. Ethan, what are you doing here? After I explained, she raised her hand and swore. My idol Julian is racing for the first time since he got back. Can't miss it. I promise I'll go home right after the race, so please just let me be. You can go back first. I was about to say more when a crowd up ahead started chanting Julian excitedly. Hearing the commotion, Emily completely forgot about me, joining the other spectators in their cheers and raising a pair of binoculars to stare at the starting line. I was a little surprised. "When did you get into racing?" Emily said excitedly. I wasn't interested before, but that was before I met my idol. Do you have any idea how handsome and cool he is? She handed me the binoculars. Ethan, you have to see him. Number 38, the one in the red racing suit. I reluctantly took them, but after just one look, I froze. Julian? Her idol was Julian. I then shifted the view and saw the stands on the opposite side. There was Olivia and her friends. The race was about to start, and Emily impatiently took the binoculars back. My eyes were still fixed on Olivia's group. Besides Olivia, our daughter Lily was there along with Olivia's closest friends. It was obvious they had all come specifically to cheer for Julian. Several race cars sped past, drifting around the corner in a blur, eliciting a wave of screams from the crowd. Emily watched for a moment, then shoved the binoculars back into my hands. Ethan, look! My idol's driving is so bold yet so steady. It's amazing. I took them and found Julian. A moment later, he took a risky but incredibly precise opportunity to overtake on a tight corner. The race ended soon after with Julian in first place. I asked Emily for the binoculars again, and she was thrilled. Ethan, you're captivated by him too, right? I told you everyone loves him, guys and girls alike. I lowered my gaze and said nothing. Emily was ecstatic, discussing with her friends how to get his autograph, only to hear that Julian had already left with his friends to celebrate. Just then, her mother called, urging us to come back. I denied Emily's request to go out with her friends and prepared to take her home. Before leaving, I went to the restroom. On my way out, I bumped into someone and we both apologized at the same time. When I looked up, I paused. It was another of Olivia's friends, Isabella. Isabella, of course, knew who I was. Upon seeing me, her already cool expression became even colder. I certainly noticed. I had met Olivia when I was 10, but she and Isabella had been best friends since childhood and were extremely close. Both before and after our marriage, Olivia always excluded me from her social circle, so I barely even had a nodding acquaintance with Isabella and the others. Yet, not long after meeting Julian, she introduced him to all of them. I heard that Julian was now very close with her friends. Perhaps because of this, their attitude towards me had grown even colder over the past 2 years. I used to try to get on good terms with them, but they looked down on me, gave me no chance, and were always distant. I have my pride too. Since they had made their stance clear, I didn't force it. This time, I simply walked past her to leave. But Isabella spoke up. "Are you also interested in racing, Mr. Hayes?" I immediately caught her insinuation. She suspected I had followed Olivia here. I turned back and said coldly, "What are you trying to say?" Isabella's expression remained impassive. "It's just that someone like you doesn't seem the type to enjoy racing, so I was curious." "Someone like me?" I turned to face her, my gaze cold. "Are we close? Since you seem to think you know me so well, why don't you tell me what kind of person someone like me is?" Isabella didn't answer, just looked at me. She couldn't be bothered to judge me, but she noticed that the way I spoke to her today was different from our past encounters. My gaze was cold. I didn't care what Isabella thought. I looked away and left. Olivia's mother had rented an apartment for Emily near her school, so I dropped her off there. When Olivia's group got home after celebrating with Julian, it was nearly 1 a.m. After putting Lily to bed, Olivia returned to our room and, not seeing me, asked the butler. "Mr. Hayes didn't come back tonight." The butler shook his head. "Mr. Hayes hasn't been back for the past few days." Olivia was a little surprised. It was rare for me to stay out so often. Had something serious really happened with my family? The next day, Lily, who had been having a wonderful time with Julian lately, woke up with a huge smile. She suddenly thought of me and ran happily to the master bedroom, clutching her doll, but found no one there. Lily's face fell and she picked up her phone to call me. I had just gotten back from a run and answered when I saw her name. Before I could say anything, Lily blurted out, "Daddy, where are you?" I didn't answer her question, just asked what she needed. Besides, Mark, no one knew where I was living now. I was enjoying my solitude and didn't want to be disturbed. Lily had me on speakerphone, lying on my and Olivia's bed, whining. "I miss you, Daddy. I want you to take me to school in a little bit," I said calmly. "I'm too far away to make it back in time to take you to school, Daddy." "Maybe next time." Lily was a little disappointed, then demanded as if it were her right. "Then you have to take me to school tomorrow morning, Daddy." I hesitated for a second. "Why don't you ask Mommy to take you?" I really didn't want to go back there. Lily still had me on speaker so Olivia could hear our conversation. She noticed my hesitation and was surprised. In the past, given how much I doted on Lily, I would have agreed to such a small request without a second thought. Not getting her way, Lily felt wronged. "No, I want you to take me." "Besides, yesterday, you haven't taken me to school in a long time, Daddy." Hearing her insistence, I had no choice but to agree. It wasn't because I felt sorry for her, but because I had a responsibility to her. A smile finally returned to Lily's face. After hanging up, I got ready and headed to the Sinclair Corporation. There was a big meeting that morning that Olivia would also be attending. I had been seated in the conference room with the others for over 10 minutes before she finally appeared. The moment she appeared, Alex gasped, his eyes shining as he stared at Olivia, unable to look away. That afternoon, just after I left the office, my phone rang. It was Lily. "Daddy, I want to eat crispy pork and water chestnut soup. Can you come back and make it for me?" I paused. Olivia and I weren't officially divorced yet, so I was sure she wouldn't mind me coming back to cook for our daughter. But I was tired. Lily was my responsibility, yes, but I had my own life now. I would no longer sacrifice my own time for her unconditionally. I said, "Daddy's busy today. Maybe next time." I used to prioritize Olivia and Lily above all else, almost never saying no to them. Hearing me refuse her twice in one day, Lily instantly felt wronged. "Why are you so busy all the time lately, Daddy?" "I don't care. I want crispy pork and water chestnut soup." I felt a headache coming on. Before I could speak, Lily huffed and hung up on me in a fit of temper. I sat in my car in silence for a while before driving off. Meanwhile, after hanging up, Lily assumed I would immediately rush home to comfort her and cook for her, but she waited and waited. Over an hour passed and it was almost 8 p.m., but I still hadn't returned. The butler, worried she was hungry, tried to persuade her. "Since Mr. Hayes is busy." "Miss Lily, why don't you have a little something to eat first? He can cook for you when he gets back." Lily pouted. "I don't want to." Seeing that I hadn't come back after so long and hadn't even called, she felt truly aggrieved this time. At the butler's suggestion, she burst into tears. "I only want to eat food that Daddy makes." The butler, thinking I was genuinely tied up, had no choice but to call Olivia. After a moment, Olivia answered, "What is it?" The butler explained the situation. Olivia asked him to give the phone to Lily, who took it, still sobbing. "You eat first. I'll take you out this weekend. You can pick the place." The sobbing stopped. Lily was instantly happy, hung up the phone, and obediently went downstairs to eat. After dinner, Lily kept waiting for me. Around 10 that night, she heard a car pull up outside. Her eyes lit up, and she scampered downstairs. "Daddy!" Before the word was fully out, she saw Olivia walk in, and her cheerful voice died. "Mommy." Olivia handed her coat to the butler, not missing the disappointment on Lily's face. "What's wrong? I thought Daddy was back." Olivia, unconcerned with my affairs, simply said, "He must be busy with something. Besides, didn't he promise to take you to school tomorrow morning? Go to bed early, and you'll see him when you wake up." Hearing this, Lily finally cheered up a bit and went to her room to sleep with a small pout. Upstairs, Olivia went to the study to handle some work. By the time she finished, it was almost midnight. She had assumed I would have returned while she was busy. But when she went back to her room, she found I wasn't there. He didn't come back. It seems something really has happened with his family. With that thought, Olivia calmly went into the bathroom. The next day, I got up early to take Lily to school. As soon as I entered the villa, I ran into Olivia coming down the stairs. I looked at her without speaking, just giving a slight nod as a greeting. Olivia paused, but before she could speak, Lily came running down the stairs and threw herself into my arms. I held her and ruffled her hair. "It's getting late. Hurry up and eat breakfast." Lily snuggled against me contentedly, then happily pulled me along. "Then you eat with me, Daddy." While we were talking, Olivia had already taken a seat in the dining room. I couldn't say no to my daughter, so I joined her at the dining table. As for Olivia, I completely ignored her. Olivia naturally noticed the change in my attitude. I had been the same way at the estate. Thinking of this, Olivia frowned. Just as she was about to speak, her phone rang. I happened to glance over and saw the phone on the table. The caller ID read, "Babe." The word stung my eyes, and I quickly looked away. Olivia noticed my glance as she looked up, but she answered the phone right in front of me without any hesitation, her voice gentle. "What's wrong?" Lily also noticed. In her memory, Olivia only showed such a gentle side when talking to Julian. Forgetting I was there, she asked happily, "Mommy, is that Uncle Julian?" Olivia replied calmly, "Yes." Lily was about to say she wanted to talk to him too, but then she remembered I was there. Knowing I didn't like Julian, she swallowed her words, but her good mood was spoiled. She frowned, wishing I could just get along with Uncle Julian. On the other end, Julian said something that made Olivia frown with worry. She left in a hurry without even finishing her breakfast. Seeing Olivia leave in such a rush, Lily grew worried too. She lost her appetite and pulled me up from my chair. "Daddy, I'm done eating. Let's go now." I knew she wanted to leave early to find out what was going on, but I said nothing. The moment she got in the car, Lily sat in the back and immediately sent a message to Julian. A short while later, Julian replied, saying it was just a fever and a cold, nothing serious. But his voice in the audio message sounded a bit horsaro, and Lily was still worried. She immediately messaged him back saying she would visit him after school. As she sent the message, Lily felt a pang of guilt. She hadn't eaten my cooking in a long time and had planned to have dinner with me tonight. Luckily, she hadn't mentioned it yet. When we got to the school, Lily gave me an affectionate hug. "Okay, Daddy, I'm going in now." I just gave a quiet. Lily didn't notice my coldness and skipped happily into the school. Not long after I got back to the office, Sarah came to see me. She said my handover was nearly complete and I didn't need to come in starting tomorrow. I nodded. Understood. Sarah was surprised by how readily I agreed. Before she could say anything, I extended my hand. "Thank you for everything over the years." Still a bit dazed, Sarah shook my hand. "Of course." I then gathered my personal belongings and left. Sarah couldn't believe I'd really just walked away like that. Carla tapped her on the shoulder. "What are you staring at?" Sarah said slowly. "Ethan has left the company." Carla was also stunned for a moment, but then she scoffed. "He's gone for now, but that doesn't mean he won't find a way back. I bet he'll be back soon with help from the old Mrs. Sinclair." Sarah said nothing. Although it seemed unbelievable, my recent behavior made her feel that I was serious. After leaving the Sinclair Corporation, I went straight home. I figured Lily's attention was back on Julian as I didn't receive any calls from her for the next 2 days. Late the following night, Mark came down with a fever. I quickly closed my book, grabbed my car keys, and headed out. It was pouring rain outside. I bought some medicine at a pharmacy near Mark's apartment complex. As I closed my umbrella and got into the car, the passenger door suddenly opened, and a tall figure slid in. My heart leaped. As I turned my head, the black muzzle of a gun was pointed right at me. I slowly raised my hands and froze. The woman took my phone and ordered coldly, "I'm not going to hurt you. Just take me where I need to go, and then you can leave." I knew I had no choice. I started the car and asked for the destination to Pier 70. I'll give you directions. I replied flatly, I know the way. I pulled the car out onto the street. Pier 70 was about a half-hour drive from here. Throughout the journey, I remained calm, driving steadily and precisely without a single wrong turn. The woman holding the gun watched me, her expression slowly changing. Half an hour later, the car came to a smooth stop by the curb. As the woman got out, I took my phone back and found a first aid kit in the car. I have some medical supplies here. The smell of blood had grown stronger during the drive, and I knew she was likely badly injured. The woman paused but ignored me, getting out of the car and quickly disappearing into the darkness. I didn't press the issue and just turned the car around and left. A few minutes later, the woman boarded a waiting boat, removing her hat and mask. Her phone rang. Before she could speak, Megan's anxious voice came through. Isabella, are you okay? My people said they couldn't find you. Where are you? Isabella replied calmly. There was a slight complication. I am at the pier now. After hanging up, Isabella stared at a tall banyan tree in the distance. Lost in thought, I got back to Mark's place half an hour later. I stayed and took care of him until his fever broke before I felt at ease enough to go home. The next afternoon, Chloe came to pick me up. A month ago, I had asked her for a ticket to CES, and the opening night was tonight. Once in the car, Chloe said, So, you'll officially be back at the company tomorrow. I nodded. Sounds good. It's perfect timing. That algorithm prodigy I told you about, Julian Vance, is also starting tomorrow. I can introduce you too. My face fell. Julian? You're saying his name is Julian Vance? The one who just came back from London? Chloe nodded, surprised. You know him? A sarcastic smile touched my lips. He's my half-brother and he's Olivia's lover. The next second, the car screeched to a halt. Chloe's eyes widened and she was about to speak, but I shook my head. I'm fine, but call me Petty if you want. I don't want him in our company. Chloe's expression hardened for a moment. Then she agreed without hesitation. Okay, I support your decision. Compared to you, he's worthless to the company. Anyway, I was taken aback, thinking she was exaggerating. Chloe knew what I was thinking and laughed. It's the truth. Do you know why he wants to join Apex Dynamics? He's extremely interested in our programming language, CUAP. And CUAP is the language I led a team to design and develop when I was 17. It's still unbreakable by anyone in the industry. Chloe patted my shoulder. So when I say he's worthless compared to you, I'm not exaggerating. As my senior from our academic program, she had always known how gifted I was in this field. When we arrived, the ballroom was already filled with guests. The host, an acquaintance of Chloe's, saw us and came over with a smile. But just as she was about to greet us, her eyes darted to the entrance and she froze. With our backs to the entrance, Chloe and I didn't know what was happening. The host gave us an apologetic look, then walked past us towards the door. Miss Sinclair, Miss Bell, Miss Foster. My heart skipped a beat as a suspicion formed in my mind. I turned to look and my smile faltered when I saw who it was. It was indeed Olivia, Isabella, and Megan. But they weren't alone. Julian was with them. Chloe looked at me with concern. I managed a small smile and shook my head calmly. I'm fine. I was shocked at first, but I didn't care anymore. But Chloe knew that deep down I was a decisive person, someone who dared to think and act. For me, the only way to know if something was worth it was to try. It was the same with love. I loved Olivia, so I gambled my career, gave up further studies, and devoted myself to my family without hesitation. Now that I said I was fine and wanted to move on, Chloe believed me. She smiled. Let's get a drink. I nodded with a smile. We made our way against the crowd to the refreshment area and stood quietly sipping our wine. Just then, someone approached us. Chloe saw them and hurried over. Professor Davis, long time no see. I have someone I'd like you to meet. The professor's eyes fell on me, a mix of admiration and confusion in her gaze. I was indeed a striking and handsome young man. But why was she being introduced to me? The programming language you've been developing recently, isn't it stuck at a bottleneck? Chloe gestured to me. This is Ethan, my junior from the program. He's a genius in language programming. CUAP was developed by a team he led 8 years ago. The professor was incredulous. Are you serious? Chloe smiled. Absolutely. I'm sure you'll see for yourself once you two talk. Professor Davis was thrilled. After asking me a couple of tentative questions, she became more and more excited as we talked, unable to stop. Chloe stood by sipping her wine with a smile, not interrupting. Just then, Chloe looked up and saw Julian walking towards her. Before she could react, he was standing in front of her. Miss Reed, hearing someone greet Chloe, I turned, and my eyes met Julian's. The polite smile on his face vanished the moment he saw me, his expression turning icy. He looked away after a single glance. Just as he was about to speak to Chloe, she smiled at me and said, "This is Mr. Vance. Ethan, would you like to be introduced?" Chloe's words made her stance clear. She was close to me, knew about the history between Julian and me, and was taking my side. Hearing this, Julian said coldly, "So, Miss Reed, does this mean I don't need to report to Apex Dynamics tomorrow?" Chloe gave an appreciative smile and clapped lightly. "Mr. Vance, you truly are sharp." Chloe could have been more diplomatic, but she chose not to be. Her actions told Julian that there was no room for negotiation. She was on my side. Julian understood. He said nothing more and turned to leave. A warm smile spread across my face. As I was about to speak to Chloe, I noticed Olivia and her two friends were all looking in my direction. They probably hadn't expected to see me here. Megan and Isabella looked surprised, but Olivia's face was a blank slate, as if she were looking at a complete stranger.